15 years of marriage down the drain. She called me a brainless animal to her lover. While I was home training her children, I recorded their secret late-night calls. Now she's served with divorce papers. She lost her job, her home, and her dignity. Who's the stupid one now? Before we begin, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. She thought I was a brainless animal until she saw the divorce papers description. After 15 years of marriage, my wife started acting like a stranger. She mocked my career and my intelligence with her lover. Little did she know, I was recording every word and planning my exit. Imagine spending 15 years building a life with someone, only to realize you were sharing a bed with a stranger who views you as nothing more than a brainless animal. Lately, a heavy, suffocating cloud of doubt has been hanging over my head. I have started to suspect that my wife, let us call her Diana, might be unfaithful. It is a sickening feeling, like a cold weight in the pit of your stomach that never goes away. However, I have no concrete evidence yet. Because of that, I have chosen to keep my mouth shut. I do not want to confront her or even hint at my suspicions. If I am wrong, I would be destroying the trust in our marriage for nothing. And if I am right, I do not want to give her the chance to become even more careful or find better ways to hide her tracks. It started with small, almost imperceptible shifts about 4 months ago. Diana began a sudden and intense fitness journey. She started working out constantly and became hyper-focused on her reflection. Now, Diana has always been a naturally striking woman, but she was never the type to fuss over her looks. She rarely wore much makeup and never spent time on complex hairstyles. Suddenly, that changed. She would spend hours getting ready for simple errands. The most glaring red flag, however, was her phone. We used to be an open book with each other. Our phones would lie around the house and we would grab whoever's device was closest to take a photo or look something up. Not anymore. Now, that phone never leaves her side. It is either in her pocket or face down on the table. One afternoon, I asked to borrow it to snap a picture of the kids playing in the yard, and she snapped at me. She told me to go find my own phone with a tone of voice I had never heard from her before. Then there were the late nights at the office. Her career suddenly required more hours, and she began taking frequent out-of-town business trips. In our private life, the warmth had completely evaporated. For the last 4 months, she has not initiated a single moment of intimacy. When I would try to kiss her, I would get a quick, dry peck on the cheek. A few times, I tried to initiate something more, and the result was devastating. She either rejected me outright or, even worse, she would just lie there, completely unresponsive and cold. That was more painful than the rejection itself. It felt like I was with a mannequin. When I finally gathered the courage to bring up the lack of connection, she had a list of excuses ready. She blamed the exhaustion of being a mother, her demanding job, and her new workout schedule. She promised she would try harder and even kiss me that night, but nothing actually changed. I started to wonder if she was going through some sort of midlife crisis. There is a specific man at her workplace I have been worried about. Let us call him Marcus. Diana used to talk about him all the time. She would mention his jokes, his projects, and his insights. Then, a few months ago, she stopped mentioning his name entirely. I knew for a fact they were still working closely together, so the sudden silence was deafening. Marcus is married with kids, and I have heard he has been having significant issues in his own marriage. I have met him a few times briefly. He always treated me with a strange sort of condescension, almost as if I were beneath him. He is not in great physical shape compared to me, but he dresses in expensive suits, he is very outgoing, and he loves the high-end social scene. He likes to drink, which is something Diana always wished I would do more of. You see, I am a high school graduate, and Marcus has a master's degree. He earns significantly more money than I do. I spend my days training professional and semi-professional fighters. It is my passion, and I love what I do, but it is not a gold mine. Diana has often hinted that I should move into a different, more corporate field to earn more. She is not obsessed with wealth, but I know she feels the pressure of wanting more financial security. Recently, Diana went on a work trip to a tropical resort. It was just her, Marcus, and the CEO of the company. In my mind, I was spiraling. I couldn't stop thinking about how much time she was spending alone with him in paradise. I desperately wanted to find the truth, but I refused to be the man who makes baseless accusations. We have had a good marriage overall, with the usual peaks and valleys, and I didn't want to throw that away without proof. A friend suggested I start digging discreetly, but the idea of invading her privacy made me feel sick. Yet, the alternative was staying in a lie. If she is cheating, there is no path forward for us. I am deeply involved in the lives of my children. The thought of only seeing them part-time, of missing half of their milestones, is absolutely heartbreaking. But I cannot stay with a woman who does not respect me. I finally reached my breaking point and decided to check our cell phone account logs online. What I saw confirmed my worst fears. There were hundreds of texts sent to one specific number, many of them in the middle of the night. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Last night, I tried one last time to reach out to her, to see if there was any spark left. She turned me away again, claiming a headache and fatigue. We sat there and talked about our marriage, and once again, she gave me the same rehearsed promises of improvement. This morning, she dropped another bombshell. She mentioned she was planning a girls' trip to Las Vegas with some college friends I had never even met. The pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. I decided to do some real snooping. I looked deeper into the phone records and identified the mystery number. I went to a public payphone and dialed it. It was Marcus. Later that day, while she was in the shower, I managed to get a hold of her phone. I found that the text thread with Marcus was the only conversation that had been completely deleted. Every other message from friends and family was there, but his was gone. Even worse, I saw that she had saved his number in her contacts under a woman's name. My heart sank. I thought about that tropical trip and what must have happened there. I had to leave the house just to stop myself from screaming. I managed to pull myself together enough to come home, but the rage was simmering just below the surface. I am furious, not just at her, but at him. It is taking every ounce of my discipline as a fighter not to go find him and handle this with my hands. I am worried that if I confront her now, she will just admit to some harmless flirting and I will never get the full truth. I need to catch her in the act. My plan is to stay awake tonight during the hours she usually texts him. I want to see her face when I catch her in the lie. The air in our house felt different that night. It was heavy, like the atmosphere before a massive storm. I went to bed at the usual time, but I didn't actually sleep. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rhythm of Diana's breathing. I was pretending to be in a deep slumber, but every nerve in my body was on high alert. I was waiting for the moment she thought she was safe. Sure enough, a little after the clock struck midnight, she carefully slid out from under the covers. She moved with a practiced silence, clearly having done this many times before. She crept out of the room and headed into the lounge, softly closing the door behind her. I gave her about 5 minutes. I wanted her to be fully engaged in whatever she was doing. I stood up, my heart hammering against my ribs, and walked toward the lounge. I didn't sneak. I just opened the door quickly and walked in. I saw the blue light of her phone screen illuminating her face in the dark. She jumped, nearly dropping the device. I stayed calm and told her I couldn't sleep, asking her what she was doing up so late. I didn't give her a chance to delete anything. I stood right over her, utilizing my size. I am a big guy, a trainer of fighters, and in that moment, I let my presence fill the room. She tried to angle the phone away from me, her fingers fumbling with the screen. She stammered something about not being able to sleep either and just chatting with a friend to pass the time. I had a specific plan in my head. I didn't start shouting. Instead, I moved closer and started acting affectionate. I began kissing her and asked if she wanted to be intimate. Just as I expected, she pulled back, giving me that same tired look. That was when I started to laugh. It wasn't a happy laugh, it was a cold, sharp sound. I began tickling her in a playful way, joking that she seemed much more interested in her secret phone friend than in her own husband. I made it look like a game, wrestling the phone out of her hands. I could see the sheer, raw panic in her eyes as I held it just out of her reach. I told her, still smiling, that I was going to call this friend and ask why they were keeping my wife awake. Please do not call her, she cried out. Her voice was trembling. I ignored her and started walking away, scrolling through the messages. I saw a text that made my blood boil. It said, "I cannot wait to see you tomorrow." I hit the call button. After a few long, agonizing seconds of ringing, a man's voice answered. It was Marcus. I didn't say anything. I just let the silence hang there for a moment before hanging up. I turned back to Diana and started reading the text aloud. I asked her why she was sending these kinds of messages to a coworker in the middle of the night. She just stood there, staring at the floor, saying she didn't know. I asked if she had anything she wanted to tell me. Silence. Finally, I told her I had already seen the phone records. I told her I knew about every late-night conversation. That was when the dam broke. She started sobbing and apologizing, but I stayed like a stone. I explained that the next few minutes would decide the rest of her life. If she didn't tell me the absolute truth, there would be no going back. She admitted to flirting with Marcus, claiming he was having a hard time at home and things just escalated. But then she tried to tell me that nothing physical had ever happened. I knew she was lying. I could feel it. I told her that if she couldn't be 100% honest, she needed to pack a suitcase and leave right that second. She kept crying, kept apologizing, but she didn't change her story, so I watched her pack a small bag and leave for her mother's house in the middle of the night. She asked if this was the end of us. I told her it was too late to talk about that and sent her on her way. I haven't seen her since, and I have had my phone turned off to avoid her constant calls. I realized I needed to protect myself. I reached out to a friend who is an attorney, and he put me in touch with a specialist in family law. This lawyer is known for being incredibly tough. Apparently, he had been cheated on himself years ago, so he takes these cases personally. He told me that since I am still in the house, I have a significant advantage. The truth finally came out in full. Diana realized I wasn't going to let this go, and she finally admitted that the affair had been physical for months. It started right around the time she stopped being intimate with me. Hearing the details was like being hit with a sledgehammer. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a passionate, ongoing betrayal. I told her she needs to stay with her mother while I take care of the kids. I want them to have stability and peace while I figure out the legal side of this disaster. I haven't even told her yet that I am definitely filing for divorce. She is going to find out when she gets served the papers. The hardest part is the thoughts that won't stop. I keep thinking about how they mocked me. In one of the messages I found later, Marcus referred to me as a stupid animal. It is a phrase that keeps echoing in my head. They thought I was just some brainless jock who wouldn't understand what was happening under his own roof. It hurts to think that while I was working hard to support our family, they were laughing at me. I spend my nights reading to try and calm my mind, but I can't even get through a single paragraph. My joy is gone, but on the bright side, the support from my community has been incredible. People have come out of the woodwork to help. Some of my friends' wives are even trying to set me up with new people already, but I am nowhere near ready for that. Right now, it is all about my children. Life has been a whirlwind of legal meetings and emotional exhaustion. We are finalizing the divorce next month. Because Diana earns significantly more than I do, she is going to be paying me spousal support. We will share custody 50-50. It is strange being a single dad. I never envisioned this for myself. Diana seems to be spiraling. From what I hear, Marcus decided she wasn't worth the drama and dumped her. Now she is out at bars every night, meeting random men from the internet and drinking too much. She has called me several times, begging to come home, begging for her old life back. Part of me still feels the pull of our 15 years together, but I stay strong. I cannot go back to a woman who saw me as an animal. One thing I did do was make sure Marcus didn't get off scot-free. I had a friend reach out to his wife and provide her with all the evidence I had gathered. I couldn't let him walk away with his marriage intact while mine was in ruins. I heard they are on the rocks now, and honestly, I don't feel bad about it at all. I also met someone, a girl I met through friends. She is stunning and significantly younger than me, which makes me feel a bit self-conscious given everything I have been through. My confidence took a massive hit during the divorce. I often feel like she is too good for me, but she seems genuinely interested. What happens when you spend months of your life and all of your savings planning your sister's dream wedding, only for her to treat you like a servant and banish you to the kids' table on the big day? My name is Chloe, and I am a licensed architect with a master's degree. I come from a large family with 5 children. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. For a long time, I felt like the odd one out. Growing up, I struggled with severe epilepsy, which meant I spent a lot of time at home with my parents while my siblings were out socializing. Apparently, they grew to resent the attention I received, even though I was just trying to survive a debilitating illness. 3 months ago, my eldest sister, Beatrice, got married. Because I was between jobs at the time, she asked me to be her maid of honor and handle the wedding planning. She didn't hire a professional, she just used me. I poured my heart and soul into it. I wanted this to be the thing that finally brought us closer. But as the date approached, Beatrice became a nightmare. The day of the wedding arrived. Everything looked perfect, mostly because I had spent sleepless nights ensuring every flower and every candle was exactly where it should be. The ceremony was breathtaking, and for a moment, seeing Beatrice walk down the aisle, I felt a flicker of sisterly pride. I thought that maybe, just maybe, all the abuse during the planning was worth it. But then we moved to the reception venue. As the maid of honor, I expected to be at the head table or at least with my parents. Instead, I spent 10 minutes wandering around trying to find my name card. Finally, I found it. Leo and I were placed at a tiny, cramped table in the very back of the hall, squeezed between the service entrance to the kitchen and a table full of screaming children aged 7 to 14. I was stunned. I thought it was a mistake. I approached Beatrice, who was glowing in her expensive gown, and calmly asked about the seating. She didn't even look up from her champagne. She looked me dead in the eye and said that there was no error. "That is where you and Leo belong," she told me. At the kids' table, far away from the important guests. The groom, a man named Arthur, overheard this. I saw a flash of guilt on his face, but as soon as Beatrice shot him a sharp, warning glare, he looked away and stayed silent. It was at that moment I decided I was done. I went back to my table, sat next to Leo, and told him I would not be giving my maid of honor speech. My parents eventually noticed where I was sitting and were visibly upset, but my siblings, Tristan and Gabe, didn't even bother to look for me. When they heard I refused to speak, they actually walked over to my table just to insult me. They told me I was being a selfish brat and that I was ruining Beatrice's special day. They called me a disgrace to the family. They said I should be grateful to even be there. Leo and I didn't stay. We stood up, walked out of that beautiful hall I had helped design, and went straight to a McDonald's. I posted a photo of us with our burgers with the caption, "Post-wedding meal." I waited until the reception was officially over to post it, but my siblings still saw it as a calculated attack. Later, I discovered the ultimate insult. Beatrice had actually appointed a second maid of honor, her best friend Clara. She had kept this from me during the planning. I was the one doing all the heavy lifting, the logistics, and the stress management, while Clara was the one who got to stand in the spotlight and receive all the praise. I was just the free labor. Beatrice eventually tried to justify her actions. She told our mother that she punished me because I looked too pretty in my gown and because I insisted on bringing Leo. She truly believed that because she was the eldest, she had the right to control my life, even telling me I wasn't allowed to marry Leo until she had her first child. But I am an architect. I know how to build something from the ground up, and I know how to tear down a faulty structure. Leo and I canceled all our plans for a traditional wedding. We took the entire budget we had saved for a ceremony in Italy and redirected it. We are eloping to a private island in the Philippines. We are only taking a handful of people who have actually supported us over the last 12 years. No siblings, no toxic drama, just white sand, clear water, and the people who actually love us. We are spending those 5 days island hopping and creating memories that aren't tainted by jealousy. As for the rest of the family, we are hosting a simple lunch when we get back. My parents are paying for it, so they can invite whoever they want, including Beatrice and my brothers. But I have already designed the seating chart for that lunch. Since Beatrice is now pregnant, I am planning the date right around her due date. If she shows up with a newborn, she will be seated at a long table as far away from the center as possible. I am putting my siblings right next to the restrooms. It is exactly where they belong. I don't feel anger anymore. When I look at Beatrice or Tristan or Gabe, I feel nothing. It is a strange kind of numbness, a total indifference. They have spent years trying to make me feel small because of my health issues, but all they did was show me who they really are. Conclusion: the long game. Whether you are a trainer being mocked by a cheating spouse or a sister being treated like a servant, the lesson is the same. You cannot change toxic people. You can only change how much space they occupy in your life. It takes time to heal. You might go through stages of depression or intense rage, but the key is to keep moving forward. Build your own life. Learn new skills. Find a partner who actually sees you. In the end, the best revenge isn't a grand gesture or a shouting match. The best revenge is living a life so full and so happy that the people who tried to break you become nothing more than a distant, fading memory. Be patient with yourself. Work hard every day, and never, ever let someone else tell you what you are worth. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new interesting stories.